So we're currently up to episode 3 of Obi-Wan. And just wanted to point out that you cannot leave a review on Rotten Tomatoes for the Obi-Wan series. Why do you think that is?
One might wonder why. Clearly,
we have to explain it.
Yeah, clearly, that's because they're doing something that's called cherry picking. That means when you go cherry picking, you pick the ripe cherries. You don't pick the rotten bad ones or the sour ones. So they're only picking the good reviews, or they're only giving their own reviews. They're not going to let the audience tell everybody that it could be a piece of crap. Now, yes, I agree that there could be a bunch of people who will swarm there with bad reviews. Maybe they've got a political agenda to do it. But really, instead of having it be a percentage, you should simply allow reviews to be written rather than giving it stars. Stars are for professional reviewers. If you go to Siskel and Ebert, who were great reviewers from the 80s onward,
right?
Probably earlier, they would give their stars, sure, but they were professionals. That was their job. We're a bunch of Joes from the internet. Even Onisenshi and myself, we're a couple of Joes from the internet. You don't know us from a hole in the wall. I'm not a professional reviewer, so maybe I shouldn't be giving a star rating, but I can give you a dissertation. I can write a few paragraphs and tell you what I think about it. When you read a few paragraphs, then you'll have a good idea. This generation of, let me know right now, give me the stars. That's not going to reflect the whole thing that's going on.
Yeah. And then there is the possible negative of having potential bots, and fake accounts pad the numbers to one side or the other as well. So you don't get a genuine representation of the actual picture.
Sure. Yes. I'm sure a bot could give a star rating, but it couldn't write a paragraph, could it?
That's true. Well, not yet. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. It's coming.
Yeah.
That time's coming.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. In some things that we're stupid and you're not would be what the younger generation of today thinks of this stuff. Let us know in the comments below. Tell us what you think. You think Obi-Wan is a great show and fantastic? That's fine. You can have your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion, but you have to tell us why you think it's great.
Yeah.
Tell us why you think that someone who's been a warrior for decades would happily put his face in the dirt. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Obi-Wan's character through the canonical movies, right? So I'm talking episode 1, which was The Phantom Menace, all the way to episode 6, which is Return of the Jedi. Those are the films where Obi-Wan is present, either as a spirit or as an actual Jedi. He's always calm, even as a Padawan. Even on the Nemoidian ship, when Qui-Gon was trying to slice his way onto the bridge, and along come these destroyer droids. Does Obi-Wan panic? Does he run in fear? He says, Master, destroyers. He doesn't shout it. He's calm, cool under pressure.
In terms of movie making, there probably were a few takes. There may have been takes where he was much more nervous. Who knows? We won't know.
Okay, so we're talking about now how actors will have several takes in a scene, and sometimes they'll act, say for instance, boisterous. Sometimes they'll be timid. Sometimes they'll be have bravado, and sometimes they'll be calm and reserved. Is that what you're talking about?
And how did he present himself? How was he decided? How did George Lucas, who would have had the final say, decide his character should be? A lot like Alec Guinness's.
Yeah. I mean, we look at, you just look at Obi-Wan's track record up to this series, right? He faced Darth Maul as a Padawan. He had to fight him alone because of the energy shield that was separating him from his master Qui-Gon when Qui-Gon got killed by Darth Maul.
As a side note,
yes,
as martial artists, we'll have to talk about that fight at some future time.
Okay. Yeah. He defeats
Darth Maul was the actor who played Darth Maul.
Oh yes,
Parks, I believe it was.
Yes.
Fantastic martial artist.
Yes, excellent.
Very good martial artist. For martial artists watching that fight, there's no way they would have won.
That guy could move, man.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah.
20 years later.
That's an aside.
Yeah. So defeats Maul, doesn't panic, not afraid, not frightful. slices Zam Wessel's arm off at the bar when she's trying to shoot him in the back, right? Confronts Jango Fett in the cloner planet there. I forget what it's called. He loses to Count Dooku, but he doesn't do so frightfully or hysterically. He loses to Count Dooku again at the beginning of episode 3. And when they land the ship after they rescue Palpatine, what does he say? He smiles and he said, "Another happy landing." Not panicked. He's not beside himself with fear. Drops down into the middle of a clone army led by General Grievous, known Jedi Slayer. He takes all their lightsabers and he smiles and he says, "Hello there." Right? And
now,
then,
this is your typical fighter. This is not.
Yes.
This is not to say that this is someone who's an actor, an adult pretender, who's simply acting and is not really afraid. Actual fighters will often be like that. Now, am I talking about soldiers coming back from the war in Afghanistan? I don't know. However, we had a great uncle who was in the second wave at Normandy, and he was a lot like that.
Yeah.
Take from it what you will.
Yeah.
I think that the training that you get in martial arts, it lets you face the end. And we seem to have a little bit of a resolute understanding of it and an acceptance of it. If you die today, then you die today. That's it. That's all. Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So the point is that this Obi-Wan that they're presenting in this series is not really in keeping with the Obi-Wan we've been presented up until now. A wise, relaxed, capable, able to conduct business and negotiations well, and not at all afraid. That's what he's like. That's Obi-Wan, a description of Obi-Wan's character. And there are several examples throughout this series so far, especially here in episode 2. And say, for instance, when he's in a warehouse at the end and Reva is walking around using the old callback to Warriors. If you've ever seen the movie Warriors, come out to play. And they're using the beer bottles, clinking the beer bottles together. That's exactly what Reva did, right? When she said, "Obi-Wan," it's the same. It's a callback to that. So I will tip my hat to that callback. And there are some
we do say a callback, but really it's plagiarism.
Okay. Well, right? Yes. Well, if you look at a movie that's doing very well right now, Top Gun, is it plagiarism when they
not at all
kind of
that
echo?
Would be a callback because it's a direct sequel, right?
No. I'm talking about when they echo the attack on the Death Star. If you look at the briefing
the trench run
before the attack, it's an echo. I say that's a callback. I say they're paying homage to it.
It's hard to say. That did flash through my mind when I saw it, and I just saw it yesterday, so a little bit over 24 hours. But I also remembered hiking in the Adirondacks, being high up Mount Phelps, looking down into the valley and along the river, spotting 2 A-10 warthogs meandering along the river slowly. It was unbelievable.
That must have
twisting
been
right and left, better than you saw in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yes.
And you could barely hear them.
Yeah. Those General Electric motors. It's a turbofan.
Oh man, if those tank killers want to sneak up on you, you are dead.
Yeah. Anyway,
unbelievable. They were tiny. They were the size of my hand. I wasn't that high up the mountain that they were close to the river. They were incredibly close to the river.
Well, they would have been nap of the earth, right?
Oh my God, they're meandering. They were hugging that river. So yes and no. There's your lovely university answer. Yes and no.
Callback versus plagiarism. Yeah. Look, I'll take them. I'll give these writers the benefit of the doubt. They seem to fall down so many times that I can point out. I think what I'll do is point out the few things that could be considered positives. Because look, if they give us something, we're so thirsty for good writing. Yeah, I'll drink that. I'll drink that Kool-Aid. Yeah,
that's so true. Yeah,
yeah.
You're so thirsty for good writing. And I would have to say Maverick Top Gun was, honestly, if I would have anything to complain about it, that's the only thing that I could complain. Did they plagiarize the trench run? A case could be made for it, but a real case could be made against it. Not guilty. not guilty until proven.
Yeah.
So they're not guilty until you prove that that's what went on. You'd have to speak to the writers and see if they'd admit to it.
Yeah. Okay, and with that, let's enter spoiler territory now, and let's start to review episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the new series from Disney Plus. So we open up in this episode to Obi-Wan after the review of the previous episode. We open up to Obi-Wan in Caesar kneeling down, meditating with a pained expression on his face. And that gave me pause right away. I thought, hang on a second, we're supposed to be meditating. What do you know about meditation?
Well, I did do a university course in psychology that did cover sleep stages. When you enter an alpha state with meditation, it's actually an early stage of sleep. As soon as your brain waves change, that's considered sleep to psychologists. So when you are doing meditation, you are in actually an early stage of sleep, although you wouldn't consider it sleep. You can see people, you can hear them. What they're telling you makes sense, and you can talk back to them, but your heart rate is lower, your breathing is lower, and probably your blood flow is lower. So having a pained expression, unlikely.
Why? Because we would be more relaxed? Is that the thinking?
Exactly. You may still be in pain, but you're relaxing. But for what Obi-Wan's trying to do, it doesn't jive. It doesn't make sense.
He's trying to contact Qui-Gon, right?
It doesn't make sense.
If we think back to the end of the third movie, episode 3, so Yoda says to him, new lessons. Yeah, training I have for you. That's right. Teach you to commune with Master Qui-Gon or something like that.
Absolutely.
And so you would expect that he's been doing that for the last 10 years. And this show opens up. Clearly, he hasn't been successful. Or it seems
Obi-Wan, from being one of the great Master Jedi, is
on the
now
council
a shirking, lazy ass.
Yeah. He
can't
train. He can't train. He can't frickin' meditate anymore. If you look at meditation from a martial arts perspective, we do that, right? Before we do a kata, which is like a pattern, essentially if you want to take it down to a very basic explanation, it's like a martial arts dance, right? Where you fight imaginary opponents and you practice moves. But before the kata, we do mukuso. We close our eyes and we think about the kata and we try to relax and perform as best we can. If you look at board breakers,
they do the same thing, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me interject quickly before the board breakers.
Go on.
If you check the Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon meditates when he's stuck in between the laser door. Before he goes to fight Darth Maul. Maul, what does he do? The martial artist who understands how to meditate. I don't know whether he told them or not, but whoever decided that he should do this, I'll bet you it was the martial artist. He said, have that guy meditate and have me pace back and forth like a caged tiger.
Yes. Yeah. And what an excellent effect. What an amazing jewel that scene was. But that's what meditation, right, should be like.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He centers himself. He knows he has to fight to the death. Qui-Gon sits down, Caesar meditates, centers himself for the coming fight.
Yeah.
Board breakers, you were saying.
Oh, yes, board breakers. So they've done brainwave tests on board breakers as well. And the more successful ones, those that break boards, bricks, blocks of ice, etc., they have discovered that they approach the alpha state just before they break a board if they meditate beforehand. So you might just see them stand still for about 20 seconds. And they enter that state very, very quickly because they've practiced it. They've trained it and trained it and trained it so that they think about, of course, you don't think about hitting the brick, you think about punching through the brick, and they're able to relax and center themselves and ignore the pain, such as it were, that will be associated with, using skin and bone against brick and ice and wood.
Brick, ice.
Yes, there is pain. Don't make no mistake, right? They've gotten used to it and accustomed to it, and they're preparing themselves. So that's what meditation should be like.
Makes me think a little bit of an Iaido sensei. So that would be a sword play teacher who had said, look to a faraway mountain while holding an egg. Holding your sword. In other words, don't look close by. If you look at the fighter in front of you, you're dead. If you look at a faraway mountain, and he's a detail in the front, maybe more successful. Maybe. Yep. But
Okay.
Obi-Wan clearly was
continue.
written by hacks who've no idea.
Yes, for the most part.
They need one martial artist on that writing party, and they need to listen to him.
One martial artist on that in that boardroom, in the meeting room, when they go through the episode. You need that. You need to have people who have actually watched and loved the original films and know it like the back of their hand, like Necromancer does. Yes, you need to celebrate. You do not have to destroy one character to raise another one. You know,
absolutely
good antagonists and good protagonists will play off each other, and they will not have to diminish each other to have an excellent story. Right.
So why might they be doing this? Why do they seem to be shooting themselves in the foot?
It's the Last Jedi all over again. I mean, we don't.
Stupid.
Yeah, we don't have definitive proof, but it's the Last Jedi all over again. Down with the patriarchy, right? Up with the chosen one being little Leia in this case, possibly Reva in this case, and our heroes must now be inept and incapable. And
that's
let's look at
what they did to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was precisely inept and incapable. Oh, certainly both of them, right? Jake Soywoker.
Yeah.
And now we have Jake Kenobi.
Jake Kenobi. Why Jake? What's the reference? Is there?
That was a reference from Mark Hamill, who said that's not Luke Skywalker. That must be his brother Jake.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see. See,
certainly.
That's why you should subscribe to this channel, because we're smart and you'll learn awesome stuff like that.
It's just
oh, we can't say that. Okay.
Maybe you're not smart. The more you learn, the smarter you get. So, and that counts for everybody, even us. Yeah, we learn every day.
Yeah,
always learning. Why might they be making the heroes seem to be inept now?
Well, there are a few possible reasons. Well, first off, there's the whole trend of the leftist trend down with the patriarchy. They want to. I mean, a lot of it can be attributed to the Me Too movement and what happened with Weinstein. Occupy Democrats, where you don't want white men in power.
So I wonder if they're just trying to go with the flow and do whatever's in fashion at the moment.
Well, there's also a possible strategy here. I mean, you're a very intelligent strategist. I've lost enough video games and board games against you to know that your grasp of strategy is excellent. So strategically, you could be trying to guilt people into watching this, right? By calling them racists if they have a problem with it. For example, what they said about Reva. You could be trying to guilt white males, for example, your core audience really, into watching it, right? And into agreeing that they should be diminished. Yes. You could be just trying to go with modern sentiment. Of course, we know our universities. There's plenty of evidence in that. Just watch a Jordan Peterson video of our universities being taken over by the left.
I was getting that in 1990 in a university that I was in at the time as a bachelor student. The student paper made you feel that there was something wrong with you if you were straight and white, and especially male. Felt like you were such a horrible person for existing.
Yeah, it is a worry, isn't it? And look at what we're doing. We're actually talking about the episode. So, right? I mean, what is it? All publicity is good publicity. So we're talking about the episode because we dislike it so much. So, another achievement for them. So there's a bunch of reasons why they could be doing that.
I would have to say that their achievement is going to have me spending $0 on Star Wars, which I've been spending ever since I was young.
Yeah.
So there is that to consider.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at let's continue with the episode, because we've just only covered meditating. So next, then they arrive at this planet where the pseudo Jedi, or the fake Jedi, sent them to meet up, and they're walking to their destination where they're supposed to be picked up by another pilot, and they discover that, fortunately, the other pilot isn't there. when along comes this transport driven by something that looks like a mole.
Yeah,
Male,
it's okay.
and it looks like a mole. It's a good alien, isn't it?
Interesting alien. I liked how they animated his nose. Yeah.
Yeah, it did a good job. So Obi-Wan says to little Leia, he says, okay, you don't talk. I can't talk? No, you don't talk. Let me do the talking.
He immediately goes on to talking
and
he
immediately
shuts up.
Which is kind of like a Leia thing to do, I suppose. Right. But she essentially takes control of the situation. 10-year-old girl takes control of the situation away from a wiser and more studied elder. Right. Quite disrespectful in my mind. But, you know, through her charm and her wit is able to finagle a ride onto this transport. And away they go on the transport. And a few questions are passed between the driver and Obi-Wan and Leia, and they establish their story that they're farmers from some planet that we've never heard of, but that's okay. It's a big universe. And then they stop again, and on come 3 very dirty looking stormtroopers. Now, of course, for us, we've seen stormtroopers in the movies, and they're not dirty at all. It indicates to me that they're trying to grizzle these stormtroopers, right? I mean, we saw stormtroopers with polished armor on the Death Star. Really, that was the first time we were introduced to them. And I don't think I've ever seen a stormtrooper, even the scout troopers in Return of the Jedi, had clean uniforms. That seems to be a standard of the Empire, that the uniforms must be clean. Yeah. And these stormtroopers, their uniforms are filthy. The armor is filthy. That makes you wonder, what are they getting at? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to, is it symbolism? Are they trying to say that the stormtroopers are corrupt, or that maybe old Star Wars is corrupt? And, you know, things like the New Order, not so much, but maybe.
And they use the word order a few times, don't they?
Oh, I didn't catch that. You caught that?
Oh, yes, they have. Yes, they have. I believe the Mole Man said something about order.
Oh, yes, he did. He did say something about order. They talked about the Empire, because Leia said, oh, the Empire is supposed to be helping us. Right? Yeah. He did use that. Order is a good thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what they're driving at.
Yeah.
Note to Disney, your movies will never be palatable. Trying to make them palatable with subliminal messaging that you think will slip by our radar doesn't slip by.
Not the smart people. Keep watching the channel and you can be smart too. All right. Hey, did you notice then when they come up to the so those stormtroopers, they get out, right? They get out of the transport, and then the transport continues up to a checkpoint, it looks like. And the checkpoint has got a laser gate. And Obi-Wan and Leia get out, and the stormtroopers then say, we're going to have to check you. Right?
Yes, but the exchange in the cart where Obi-Wan, instead of calling Leia by her, what was her, I don't know, Lobo? No, it can't be Lobo.
No,
whatever her pretend name was, and he immediately forgets it and calls her Leia in front of a stormtrooper who says, wait, you said her name was...
Yeah.
You would think that they would immediately catch him right there.
Yeah.
You would think. But clearly, stupid people are writing the script.
Yeah.
So he gets by with it by saying, oh, well, her mother's name was the name of the person that you're looking for all over the galaxy. So coincidentally, but no, it's not her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very badly written.
Yeah.
Very badly written. If you're going to introduce a mistake that shows that these are the people you're looking for, then you have to resolve it. And the best way to have resolved that would have been the combat right then and there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't introduce it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. And then we get rid of those stormtroopers just to be faced by 5 more stormtroopers, right?
Exactly. Just have questioning that builds the tension.
Yeah.
Just have questioning that builds the tension. Let them dodge the questioning. That'll build your tension.
Maybe it's a device.
And right when you think they're about to be found out, they arrive at the gate. That's better writing.
Yeah. So they arrive at the gate, and they finally do get checked out by the stormtrooper, and of course Obi-Wan isn't going to have it. And finally we get to see Obi-Wan in action. He takes out 4 of the stormtroopers, and he takes out the transport driver. And then one of the stormtroopers gets Leia, and he's holding Leia at gunpoint. And at this point, I paused it and I thought, if this is typical of Disney Star Wars, what's going to happen is Leia is going to rescue herself. But if this is more in keeping with the actual character of Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan is going to rescue Leia. And when I pressed play again, I was pleasantly surprised, very pleasantly surprised to find that Obi-Wan rescued Leia. And I was very happy with that. But, you know, a little bit of sugar in a pile of poop is not going to make your pile of poop taste very good, is it? Still going to taste like a pile of poop with a grain or two of sugar.
That's right.
And then you, I noticed that the gate switch. So the gate is an electronic gate. It's like a beam, like a laser beam, because it cuts one stormtrooper in half. And oh boy, wasn't that an excellent scene?
That was nice.
I really like that. But then the actuator to turn the gate off, that you would think, was exactly the same actuator as the tractor beam was in Star Wars. And when I say Star Wars, I mean Episode 4, A New Hope. So Obi-Wan has to turn off the tractor beam. Spoilers if you haven't watched it. And if you haven't watched it, why the hell not? Can I just say?
Yeah, it's crap. So if you want to not watch it, can't say I blame you.
What's that? Episode 4?
Sorry. The Obi-Wan
series. Yeah.
Series number 3.
No. No. I'm talking about Star Wars.
You mean the movie? You haven't watched it? Definitely watch it.
Definitely go watch it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can watch them.
See what a real movie is.
That's right. It's very interesting. Anyway, so the actuator I noticed was the same one, but at this point it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work?
Presumably a switch is power on, power off.
Yes.
How is it still on?
And now it's not working.
Bizarre.
It's like saying
bad writing.
Whatever happened in Star Wars A New Hope, you can forget about it. It's garbage. The switch doesn't work. I think that's
whatever suits the story.
I think that's what's going on. I think it's actually a bit more malicious than that.
It probably could be. I mean, for people who seem to be rather inept at what they're writing, sometimes they put in some subliminal messaging.
Yeah, their Easter eggs are
Seems
malicious
a bit bizarre
in this case, right? So then, of course, he takes a blaster. And shall we talk about Obi-Wan and blasters for a moment?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So uncivilized.
So uncivilized after he has to kill Grievous with a blaster, right? In Episode 4, an elegant weapon from a bygone age or something along those lines. You probably remember the quote better than I do.
Absolutely. And when you consider, what was that film with Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai?
Oh, yeah.
Quite honestly, that would be pretty much correct. Samurai would rather die with a sword in their hands than live with a gun in their hands.
Yeah.
So I doubt very much that Obi-Wan would ever use a blaster.
Yeah.
Did he not use a lightsaber in the cantina? So,
right.
Something to consider.
Yeah. He takes his lightsaber.
Writer hacks.
Yeah. That's Obi-Wan.
Did he not walk right around the right side of the switch? Around the booth for the laser gate?
Yeah. You have to blast it? Silly. You're just two people walking through. Anyhow, and then they walk up, and then up comes another transport with 4 stormtroopers and an officer of the Empire.
Imperial officer.
And immediately, it's a very long, drawn-out process of the stormtroopers unloading, during which the entire time, if you watch any World War II movies, seriously, go watch Saving Private Ryan. Go watch the opening of Saving Private Ryan. As soon as the transport lands on the beaches in Normandy, as soon as the gate opens, you've got 3 or 4 of the soldiers at the front get shot. Okay, so if Obi-Wan,
that's what we call a meat shield.
Yes, yes.
Except they weren't very good at being shields.
Well, they were shields to the people behind them, just not to themselves.
Not that much. People behind them would have been hit too, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I mean, well, look, the bullet as it comes through, and the bullets in the old days aren't like bullets nowadays. Bullets nowadays are meant to break apart and kind of mushroom
splay into the organs.
Yeah, and to cause massive trauma. But back then they were actually meant to punch through, right? And they just punched through because they were older technology. It didn't have any hollow points or anything like today. So you're probably right. But the bullet would start tumbling as it enters through flesh. And as it tumbles, then it, of course, will lose momentum.
Ricochet off of bones.
Yeah, precisely. So yeah, it would you would probably get some through and through shots. Anyway, that's aside, and that's a bit grisly. So if you can't handle that, that's something to try to probably desensitize yourself to by watching Saving Private Ryan.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So up comes this transport, and of course we have seen through the strategy as these stormtroopers are unloading. This is when Obi-Wan should be taking his uncivilized blaster and killing everybody aboard the transport, because he has the element of surprise. He's just a farmer-looking guy, and out come these troops. Their guns aren't at the ready; they're not pointed, right? And he's got his blaster. He should still have it close at hand because he's just used it on the gate. But you can see why they didn't have him do that. And it's a narrative device. Their narrative is, of course, the officer is a double agent and has to save Obi-Wan. So if Obi-Wan actually acted in accordance with his character and did that and killed everybody on board the transport, then she wouldn't be able to save him. So here's an example of where they sacrifice character for narrative, which is we see throughout the series in all the places that it breaks canon, which we'll be getting into later on in the review. Anything you want to say about that scene?
Nope, that would absolutely be breaking, like you say.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right about that. That's ridiculous. It's insane. Anytime that you push the narrative over the character, you're creating a grave mistake. Yeah, grave mistake.
Yeah.
Always sacrifice your story for the character.
Sure. Yeah, that's something that has to be learned. This is one of our we're big fans of Doomcock Overlord DVD, and one of the things that he says is you have to be very self-critical to be a good writer, because
absolutely you'd have to go back and throw out pages that don't work.
Yeah,
throw them in the garbage,
and that's a real attack on your ego, isn't it?
Well, that's what we have to do.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, you
get
rid of it.
Section that's not working, you cut it off and you replace it. And if you can't think of how to replace it, then you turn off your damn phone, isolate yourself, and figure it out, and ask some people to help you figure it out. That's why, two heads are better than one. Get a few people to help you figure it out. Get a few real fans to help you figure it out.
In the writer's room, maybe.
Shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. He talks about this maybe being a symptom of a failed parenting and teaching strategy, which we've had for the past 20 years, which is where everybody gets
everybody gets a trophy. Exactly.
Yeah, regardless of their performance. And so everybody thinks their work is just fine, even if it's not really that good.
No,
not up to scratch.
It's not. You have a lot of people that you've got to please, and you have to make it so that, smarter people will say, wow, that's pretty good.
Yep. Okay, so from there, so the officer reveals herself to Obi-Wan as being a double agent, and that
saves him.
She saves. And look, I have no problem with that. Females being saviors. Some people do seem to have an issue with it.
It's fine if it's not overdone all the time.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't think it was overdone in this case. Do you?
She saves him twice.
She saved him
twice. She?
Oh, yeah, she saves him at the end of the episode as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, so maybe that's being a bit much.
Well, she's the helper, right? So if you look at the monomyth, the cosmogonic monomyth, right? This is the hero's journey. You start in the spring and the summer, and everything is beautiful and lovely. It's like the Shire, if you're familiar with The Hobbit. Everything is excellent, and life is wonderful. And then something traumatic happens, and you get exiled from the Shire, for example. You get exiled from this summer and you enter the fall and the winter, and the fall is literally the fall where you fall from the good life and you enter a difficult, trying time, and you will either get a helper, and if you get the helper will usually come into the story around then, right? So in this case, she is the helper. And how often the helper helps the hero is not really stated, but the hero does have to face challenges and persevere through them to enter that spring and summer state again. And that's what's sorely lacking, and we'll talk about that later on. If it wasn't,
they'd have to be careful.
He wouldn't.
They'd have to be careful to ensure that helper is not a Deus Machina.
Yes. Yeah.
When you.
Yeah. Okay. What's that? Hang on. I know what that is.
But
we're smart. And people are listening to this to get smarter. So what's a Deus ex machina? What's that?
So when you are, that's from old Greek plays, a badly written play would be that the hero is in a horrible state. He's about to be killed. He has no recourse. Nothing could help them. And then Zeus appears and saves the day.
Yeah. Yep. Saved by the hand of God.
It's very weak writing.
Yeah. Isn't it? And it seems like that is
suddenly
the case.
Saved by the God.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's go back to the town. So she takes him to the local town or local village, and she takes him to a safe house where there's a loading robot that takes him to like an Anne Frank type of shelter behind a secret door in his house. So this loading robot can't communicate. And they set that up very nicely with Leia. And I really do enjoy how Leia is polite to all the robots. She's polite to all the droids. She doesn't think of the droids as having no personality and not being worthy of manners. I will
Just
always
like Luke.
be. Yep. Luke is the same, isn't he? Yeah, that's
Luke was the same in A New Hope.
Yep. Hey, little buddy. Yeah, that's right. So they're in the back room, and they notice this is like an underground railroad for Jedi. And Obi-Wan notices some script on the wall where the script, more or less to paraphrase, says, "Only when your eyes are closed can you see the truth." So I don't know where this is leading. I'm sure they're going to come back to this in the next couple of episodes. And I'm hoping that they use this in some way to give him insight to connect with Qui-Gon. But having said that, he should have already connected with Qui-Gon.
Certainly. Hopefully he'll be meditating without a pained expression then.
Yeah. Yeah. And be completely relaxed and be the warrior that we know him to be, not some pretender like they've made him out to be. In any event, there's a lot of back and forth about, secret tunnels getting to the transport where the pilot is waiting to take them. Yeah. Yeah. And who shows up? Who shows up at this point? And
now, this was the point
that
I'm sure we both enjoyed.
Well, I enjoyed it, but it could have been so much better, right? It could have been so much better if only I had heard bum, 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 bum. Where the hell was the Darth Vader theme?
Too true.
Honestly, you own this stuff. Why would you not use the Darth Vader? Every time Darth Vader has shown up in the suit on screen, they play that frickin' theme.
And it's very good. It's very powerful.
Excellent.
It was fantastic since I saw it in 1980.
Right?
In the movie theater.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely excellent.
Yeah.
He does act like Vader should. He's killing people left, right, and center to draw Obi-Wan out.
Okay, I wanted to touch on that issue. Okay, so he kills innocents. Like a coward. Yes, he does. He kills innocents in the village. I want to touch on that point if we can. So your position is that. Go ahead. Tell me what your position is. Why is he killing innocent people?
Absolutely Vader. That's quintessential Vader. That's what the Vader we had hoped for somewhere around episode 2 where we thought when he should have shown up.
Right.
They would have actually been better if the Phantom Menace Anakin would have been older. They could have gotten Hayden Christensen at the age he was then, and that would have been a better film.
Okay, so you're talking about the Clone Wars film.
Absolutely. The first movie, not to say that Jake Lloyd was bad in any way. He was told how to act.
Yes.
He was a great actor for what he was told to do.
Yes.
He was told to act like a kid. They thought they would attract young children.
Yep.
And okay, I think that wasn't the right way to go. Yeah. They should have gone with an older Anakin. Anyway, be that as it may.
Yeah.
Here we have Vader being an absolute villain like he should be, a fearsome villain like he should be.
Okay. Okay, so
trying
my position
to draw
on
Obi-Wan out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Obi-Wan should have been drawn out. Instead, he acts like a coward. That is not Obi-Wan's character.
No, it's not. I agree with you.
He should have
not
when he sent. I was certain that when he sent Leia with the protector through the tunnels, that he would have said, "It's time to take out my lightsaber and face Vader," which, by the way, he should not have done, because in episode 4, A New Hope, when they meet on the Death Star for their fight, you get the very clear, I wouldn't even say an impression. You get the very clear message that they have not seen each other for decades and decades.
Yeah.
And that it's been a long time since they fought, pretty much the end of episode 3.
Yes.
Now, obviously, Disney wants to milk this for all they can. So sure, they'll have them fight, making it basically the equivalent of the computer animated series that were made for children.
Yeah, the Clone Wars.
Not what I consider real Star Wars. I don't care if Disney says it's canon. I don't care even if George Lucas says it's canon. No, it's not.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Okay, so my view of Vader walking through, now pay attention. This is the channel for smart people. Okay, and this is how you have a disagreement, everybody. I don't quite agree with you, Necromancer, when you say that this is exactly how Vader would act. I think back to our first introduction to Vader when he's holding the officer in the air by his neck before killing him. And he's asking him, he's interrogating him as he's holding him aloft just before killing him. When he realizes he's not going to get the information he wants, then he kills him. So I was expecting a Vader which would be more like this. When he force chokes the peasant and pulls him out through his window, I was expecting Vader to bring him close and then start asking, where's the Jedi? We know there's a Jedi here. Where's the Jedi? And we didn't get any of that. I think that could have been done better and more in keeping with the Vader we've seen in the past. Now, having said that, I take your point, and this is a fearsome Vader, and he may have been doing it to draw Obi-Wan out, because here's the thing, right? Like, again, if we go back to episode 4, A New Hope, he says, well, while Obi-Wan is on the Death Star, he says, I sense something, a present I haven't felt since, and he trails off. So we know how large the Death Star is. They mistook it for a small moon at first. It's massive. And if Vader can sense Obi-Wan somewhere on the Death Star, we can expect that they're not exactly 50 yards apart or 100 yards or meters apart, right? They're probably much further than that, arguably. But Vader walks into this town, and we get no impression that he senses Obi-Wan is there.
Yet Obi-Wan, who has hardly any force powers because he's let them languish for 10 years, he can sense Vader right away.
Yes.
Because story.
Yes. Yeah. So there's an issue I have with canon, breaking continuity. So Vader kills needlessly with no interrogation. If you think back to episode 4, when he's on Leia's ship, he says, I want them alive. And in this case, he doesn't seem to want anybody alive to interrogate.
Well, I think we have different purposes, different aims here. In A New Hope, he was specifically looking for the data tapes, the stolen data tapes of the Death Star.
Yeah.
And in this one, he is trying to get Obi-Wan to find where he is. So story-wise, maybe it would be better if he gets Obi-Wan to feel very guilty about the people he's killing.
Yes.
Seemed pretty straightforward to me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's just good writing.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost as if he's expecting Obi-Wan to act in accordance with his character.
Exactly right. Yeah. So there we are. In any event, we expected Obi-Wan to come out and fight him, but he doesn't. He runs off. Well, an argument could be made that maybe Vader can sense him and he's leading Vader away from them. I would hope so, and not toward them. It would be stupid to go toward the ship. I certainly wouldn't if I were in Obi-Wan's place.
Right.
I would say, tonight I die, but I'm going to make my death count and give them time to escape, and I'm going to lead them away. Lead Vader away from the ship that's leaving. Now, why these ships couldn't be intercepted if they're cargo ships, I have no idea.
Right.
Seems rather stupid.
Yeah. They've already said earlier in the episode that they're blockading the planet. All ports.
I mean, yeah, you have Reva yelling at Obi-Wan when he did escape to come to this planet in the previous ship that Vader was coming to get him, and she was certain he was on that cargo ship. Why doesn't she just intercept him?
Precisely.
It's a cargo ship.
Yes, there's a lot of
she's got faster ships at her command.
Yeah.
Why don't they follow this ship that's leaving the planet? Before the blockade, through the blockade, around the blockade. I don't know. A little bit insane. So Vader winds up fighting Obi-Wan, which is nice. I think the fight was pretty good. I like how they depicted it. It's probably basically correct. Obi-Wan should be having a lot of trouble against someone as powerful as Vader's become. However, he should have looked stressed, which they did show, but they also showed fear. He should not have been afraid.
He shouldn't have been desperate. They showed fear and desperation.
Yeah.
So I pretty much agree with you there. Obi-Wan runs? ? Obi-Wan is ineffective in fighting Vader. He beat Vader. He's master of the Soresu style.
That's right.
Defensive
That's
style.
what I was thinking.
You're not going to lose that.
When I watched, you don't lose it.
You don't lose it. And this is from a guy who's taken years off of martial arts and recently picked up Batodo swordsmanship again. It doesn't take long. And I remember how to swing. Maybe I don't remember the exact kata, the order of the moves, but I remember all the moves.
Exactly. I've been playing karate for 30 years plus, and you don't lose basic skills. You may lose the kata and forget them, forget the moves, but you don't lose the skills.
Yeah. You don't lose the order in which, or you can lose the order in which they are organized
together. They're supposed to be strung together, but that's just a learning tool.
Right. Yeah. But you don't lose the actual technique.
No.
So that raises questions when I see that Obi-Wan is an ineffective fighter who's fearful and desperate and struggling. Yes, he's out of shape. Fine. But if the Force has been his ally since he was a young boy, and a powerful ally it is, he should be able to call on it at any time.
Certainly. So once again, put a martial artist on the writing team.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we had this discussion at the end of episode 2, the Clone Wars, when Yoda comes in and fights Count Dooku. And this is the first time we ever see Yoda pull a lightsaber and start fighting with a lightsaber. Remember this discussion we had?
Certainly. Many people didn't understand how he comes in on a cane and he's an old man. Then he jumps around fighting fantastically. And after the fight, he picks up the cane again and he's an old man again.
Yeah.
I've seen karate sensei in their 70s and 80s do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm getting old enough that I'm getting there, that the same thing's starting to happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So he should be able to call on it when he needs it, when circumstances are dire and require that type of response. And this, I don't think of any other more appropriate time that there would be to call on his old training.
Perhaps you've heard of the saying, I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yeah, I've heard it. You want to explain
it? Would be applicable. I may not be as good as I once was, but I can be as good once as I ever was.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically this little phenomenon.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about then when they end up on the kind of plateau, when they're surrounded by piles of whatever ore they're mining. And this is some type of flammable ore, clearly some type of energy laced ore. And Vader, what does Vader do? Does he force
grabs Obi-Wan? No, he seems to be grabbing him.
Okay, so he force grabs Obi-Wan.
So since Obi-Wan is weak in the Force, let's say, he can't counter it, it would seem. He was perfectly fine countering Force push in the Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, episode 3.
Now he can't do that?
Yeah.
Please.
Because that would be a Force push defense, according to the canon of the
Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast.
That's right. Yeah, you counter a choke or a grab with a push.
Both very good games. You should try them.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, just ignore the old graphics and just enjoy watching and get the dismemberment mod, whatever you do. It's highly worth your effort.
Absolutely.
So then what does Vader do? He knocks over a vat or a barrel of this ore and he sets it alight. I don't even remember how he sets it alight.
Nicely done with his saber.
He sets it alight.
Very nicely done.
With the saber. And then he drags Obi-Wan using the Force into the fire. And I'll let you take this part. Go ahead.
So Obi-Wan can't push away the flame that he's being dragged through if he can't push away Vader.
No.
Obi-Wan can't force pull his lightsaber and throw it at Vader. Obi-Wan can't do anything but get burned.
Obi-Wan is getting burned. And Vader says, do you remember what Vader says?
I'll make you suffer as you have made me suffer, or
Yeah.
feel the pain that I have felt. Something along those lines.
Yes. Yeah. And he drags him through the coals. One thing that broke the suspension of disbelief was Obi-Wan's hair didn't catch fire. I guess he has...
or his eyebrows and his eyes seem to be fine. So, yeah, rather foolish.
Yeah, it's a bit silly that they do that.
Yeah. Now,
so my case here is
shouldn't.
that Obi-Wan isn't really Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I was going to say we shouldn't give shows like this a pass on things like that with suspension of disbelief. If you write your scenes and you proceed with your scenes in a believable way, then you'll find that the fans will love your show.
Yeah.
If you're going to shirk on physics or shirk on simple scientific facts, you can't escape a black hole with a subspace detonation. You can escape it by going faster than light. That is what warp speed is. JJ Jerkoff.
What are you talking about? Star Wars here?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Let's save that for another video, shall we? So then Vader puts out the fire. And in putting out the fire, it seems that he uses some type of shockwave to put out the fire, some type of force shockwave, and knocks Obi-Wan away from the coals.
Fair enough.
And then who shows up but the Savior? The double agent Savior shows up and starts sniping stormtroopers who are going to collect Obi-Wan to be tortured by Vader. And she starts sniping stormtroopers. Then she snipes another barrel of whatever this ore is, and she sets it alight. And Vader stands there while her and the loading robot go and rescue Obi-Wan. He stands there and does nothing. Now, refresh my memory. What did Vader just do?
That's about the time I face palmed.
Yeah. Vader just put out the flames with some type of force shockwave. His quarry is not 20 yards away from him, 20 meters away from him. And he stands there and does nothing. And then they rescue Obi-Wan, and we cut to the Inquisitors saying, we've lost them. Talk about narrative devices and terrible writing.
Wow.
What do you have to say about that scene? Anything you want to say about that?
Honestly, no, it was just facepalm.
Yeah.
It was facepalm.
Yes. Vader,
when you write things that will make people facepalm, you really shouldn't be in the business of writing.
No.
Or directing, even. Seriously. Honestly, is the director and the writers that stupid? That's what I want to know.
The question is, do they see these holes?
How could they not see them?
They think that we're a bunch of imbeciles who are going to accept.
Do they think we're that stupid? Honestly.
Yeah.
I would honestly like to know what the answer is.
Yeah.
So for our episode finishing up, I'm not very sanguine about the next 3 episodes, during which at the end, Reva is probably going to be made into the lovely savior who can do what Obi-Wan can't, probably.
Yeah, look, I'm going to avoid predictions.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good idea, but that's not how you write a good character. You write a good character by being good on their own merits, not by tearing down someone else, which is what they did with the last Jedi. That's not what I call it, so I have a hard time calling it the correct name that it is. They tore down Luke to make Wonder Rey, the bestest ever, become the unbeatable queen of everything, and a very boring hero at that.
Yeah.
So when you write a good hero, good character, people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Very much enjoyed the first movie of Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot.
Oh, how good was that?
Fantastically written heroine character. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Your character has to fail, and your character has to overcome adversity. And they can overcome adversity with a helper, but they need to overcome adversity. They can't just walk in and be able to,
To win every
OP
time.
everybody.
Nobody beats them, and they're
Right?
OP.
They're OP. You don't.
They're no fun.
Right? And I'm not really keen to make any predictions as to where this series is going to go, Obi-Wan, because when Boba Fett was coming through, I made some predictions. I think it was actually the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, where we see Luke Skywalker return and all his Return of the Jedi glory.
Absolutely.
Right.
Glory.
And I thought, I can see what they're going to do. The Mandalorian has now got the dark saber, and he is going to become the next Mandalorian Jedi hybrid, that they were talking about. And he's going to be this new warrior that fights both as a Jedi and a Mandalorian. What an excellent turnout that will be. And Baby Yoda, he's going to reunite with Baby Yoda, we know now as Grogu, in Luke's academy, because Luke is going to be training the Mandalorian because he has the dark saber. Well, weren't we disappointed in episode, what was it, 4 and 5?
Episode 1 and 2
of the Mandalorian
season 3,
yeah,
which was thrown into Bubba Fett.
Fett. Oh God, what a horrible
because Bubba
show.
Fett was pretty bad.
God, did they drop the ball with that one?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so
even the actor for Boba Fett,
Tamura Morrison. Yeah,
Tamura Morrison. He had said,
Kiwi guy,
Boba.
Yeah. He knows
certainly
Boba.
The Mandalorian is what Boba should have been.
Yes,
and a little bit more brutal.
Yes. Well,
vicious.
We saw what Boba should have been in the rescue, or not the rescue, the episode where Grogu is abducted. We saw what Boba should be just then and there. He was fierce. He was a monster, fighting hand to hand, fighting with his blaster. Yeah, he's not a gunslinger like the Mandalorian is. Like Jango Fett was a gunslinger, right? But man, if you doubt his ability to be a badass and a warrior, just watch that episode again. Absolutely fantastic. So it is a worry. We've had some really good Star Wars from Disney, and it all starts with the letter M, doesn't it? So anyway, that's why I don't want to make any predictions, because invariably I'm let down, because my predictions on where they could go with it tend to be a little better than what we end up getting, in my humble opinion. Because I'm smarter than you.
Well,
not you.
Demonstrate it, then it's not so much an opinion, is it?
Yeah.
You can demonstrate it with facts.
Wouldn't that have been great? Right?
It really would have been.
Right?
Most of us have wanted that.
And comes back as a Jedi and gets trained by Luke, and Grogu is there, and now it's the adventures of Grogu and Luke and the Mandalorian. Anyway.
It would have been very good.
Yeah.
I would have certainly wanted to tune into that.
Yeah. Anyway, they can steal that. Of course, they will steal that if it's of any value, but they won't see that there's any value in it. So to wrap up, anything else we want to have a quick chat about?
Boy, oh boy, it's difficult to sum up. Keep our eyes open. Certainly, we'll be watching Obi-Wan series for the next 3 weeks. Hopefully, not becoming more and more depressed and despondent with the series. We'll find out what's coming, won't we?
Yeah. We
tune in and get our takes.
Yeah.
Maybe,
all right. So,
maybe it will enlighten you a little bit, and you can certainly discuss it down below in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah, please leave us some comments down below. Tell us what you think. If you liked Obi-Wan, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm happy for you. Back it up. Tell us why you liked it. If you didn't like Obi-Wan or you agree with us, go ahead and do the same. Please subscribe. We can always use your help to make the channel a bit bigger and more well-known across YouTube, because we'd certainly like to start talking with some of the presences that are already here on YouTube. So I think with that, we're ready to sign off. Yes?
Very good. Take care, everybody.
Yep.
Oh, Genki day.
All the best.